Alright, welcome back. The AJ ARS 300 104 inch build. So it took a little while, but they went in. These servos for the elevators are a little tough to get in there. I had to take a file with a carbon rod to kind of keep it, stiff while I was in there trying to sand a little bit to fit. Didn't take much sanding, just a little bit. I think the corner where because if you look where that end, if you remember in the last video or the picture, if you see the pictures, you'll see that the end on the servo with the wire has a notch for the wire. Well, when you looked at those, the cut on that, it wasn't perfectly square. So I think just sanding the little notches, just a little bit on that one side, flattened it out enough for the servos to go in. And they're really tight. You have to make sure the servo is completely level to that rib, or it won't go in. But it will go in once you start it, once you get it lined up properly, with very little force. So servo arms are on. These may need just a little bit on each end. I mean, that's pretty much the full length of the servo, of the travel, at least backwards. Might need a little bit, but I mean, heck, it said for 1.5 inches, so if you're on that bottom ball, which would be about 1.5 inches or less, you'd be into the wood, so I don't think you're going to need that much throw. So this probably won't need to trim any of this, which would be nice. But there you go. They're in. All the screws. All in all, it was fairly easy to get them in after I figured it out, having to sand them. It's a little tight getting, because you got to go through this this thick outer bulkhead or rib, and then there's another rib that you go through before you get to the final, the rib where that actually sits. They're larger, rectangular wise, length they're larger. Width is just a hair larger than the servo. Well, it was pretty much sliding contact all the way through. So, but it's not hard getting them in there. The hard part is once you get them to the rib, getting them pushed down into it. So nothing crazy there. It's weird seeing an elevator with an elevator bigger than the actual hard surface, the control surface bigger than the actual elevator. But that's how these things are. Anyway, so the elevators are done, and I'm going to move on to getting the servo horns installed next, which is just simply a double carbon, 2 carbon per. The ball goes between the two. You got 2 440 bolts, one for the carbon end, one for your push rod, your servo rod end. Lock nut, gosh, I'm saying not even pointing the camera at it, so let me do that again. So 2 carbon rods with a base plate, or carbon control horns. Ball end with 440 with a washer. Well, I don't even really know if this needs a washer because it's between the two, so I really won't put a washer there, but this end will get a washer. And your lock nut, so lock nut, 440 bolt, and then on this end with your servo, it's just your bell crank with another ball end. You do get a washer on one side to prevent it from, if the ball fails, it won't pull past the washer, and that's it. So, but I'm gonna get going with the horns. X-Acto knife to trim out around. I'll mark the base plate with a Sharpie, real fine point Sharpie. Kind of, you'll mark this area here, and then cut just inside of your mark. That way this overlaps the covering and make it look nice and neat. Alright, I'm going to get on that, go dig out some high saw, and you guys take it easy.